I've been playing outdoors since I was a kid, standing by the front door at around 2 years old, hollering, side, 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 trying to get my mom to let me go play outside. Now, after 30-plus years working in the outdoor business, I'm dropping insider conversations every week with the brand leaders, guides, marketers, CEOs, and others that make the outdoor industry a trillion-dollar juggernaut that drives product innovation, revenue, and public policy for everything outdoors. I'm Rick Sayes. Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Outdoor Biz Podcast and episode 427 with Joe DiGirolamo, Director of Sales at Thermore. Joe was born and raised in Western New York and has had a love for the outdoors from an early age. He always found it fascinating to observe wildlife and be in their presence. Joe had the opportunity to live in the Pacific Northwest for 10 years, and the time he spent there heightened his sense of exploration to an even higher level. It was there that he was introduced to Thermore and eventually started working for the innovative insulation company. His technical aptitude, attention to detail, and experience in the great outdoors was a perfect fit for leading Thermore sales in North America. Good morning, Joe. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how's it going today?
It's going really, really well. Thanks so much.
Got big plans this weekend?
It's playoff football time. So
that's right.
And so we'll be keeping an eye on that for sure. And we're just outside of Buffalo here, so we'll be rooting for the Bills and hope that they can make a good playoff run.
Yeah, they got a good team. They'll have a good run, I'm sure. They got some quarterback they got is great.
Yeah, he's really pretty awesome. So.
Yeah. So let's start out with your first outdoor experience. Why don't you share that with us? Was it camping, hiking, biking? What was it?
I would probably say that it was camping with friends that kind of got me into the that part of the outdoors, and maybe even before that with my dad, who introduced me to fishing, and started doing that at a pretty young age as well.
What kind of fishing?
So, people think of New York State, they don't really think of fishing too much.
Right.
People usually think about the city when you say New York, but upstate New York is actually very, very graced with many bodies of water. Obviously, you've got the Great Lakes with Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. So there was always steelhead and salmon fishing that was going on. And then if you went into the Finger Lakes region, then there was other warm water species that you could go after, such as smallmouth bass and walleye, northern pike.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, fishing up at the Thousand Islands as well. So there's a lot of fishing opportunities in this state, and I got introduced to them early, and it got me out there.
Nice.
So,
you got upstate New York is beautiful. There's a lot. People don't realize how much outdoor activity there is up there. Camping, hiking, fishing, climbing.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's and if you want to step into the Adirondacks, then you can get a taste of that, which is very rural and not mountainous like the West, but certainly higher altitude and very remote in many areas. So you do feel like you're having a very isolated outdoor experience.
Yeah, great spot. Nice to get out of the city too, for those that live in the city. So, sure. And how often do you get out to camp and stuff these days? Fish?
Regrettably, not as much. I was just having this conversation with a friend a couple of weeks ago. Like, how did we used to do it before, where we balanced work plus all our hobbies? And now it just seems like isn't enough time to do all those things.
Yeah.
And you pick and choose more carefully about what you do with your free time. So I don't get out as much as I'd like to. But, my wife and I like to do, walks whenever we can, day hikes. I've taken up golf recently, and so I'm walking the golf course a lot more. I just enjoy being outside, and it may not be heavy duty outdoor type activities, but I do feel a heck of a lot better when I can just get outside.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have to take a little break and go for a little walk, or We have a lot of great outdoor space right out my back door, so it's easy to do. But I think you're right. Just getting outside, just go walk around the block, clears your head and gets you ready for what's next.
Yeah, I agree. We're very fortunate. The New York State has a fair amount of state parks in the area, and easy accessibility, nice walking trails. So I think if it's convenient to get to and accessible, then you're more likely to do it as well.
Right.
And that has never been a problem where we live. We even have a very nice park right behind us.
Oh, cool.
So we're able to go right out our door and get right on a trail, which is great.
Excellent. So tell us a bit about Thermore. It's a family business founded in Italy. Where's it located in Italy?
They're based in Milan, Italy, and they've been doing business since the early 70s, and they're very much pioneers in insulation and in thermal insulation. Very unique company that privately held, family owned, but they're extremely specialized in what they do, and they're also global, which I think is a very interesting mix to have all those components in a company. And I always found that appealing, and it's part of the reason that I've stayed with them all this time.
Yeah, and you were saying it's a nice, good design community there, right? There's a lot of are there a lot of other brands there also.
There are, I'm sure, I'm sure that there are, absolutely. I think for Thermore's team specifically, they find Milan to be a very creative and innovative atmosphere. So I think that they're able to foster those things in everything they do day to day, and it drives the development and innovation for them. And it's just a great area to do that, and it seems second nature, like it's just part of their DNA.
Right.
And they're constantly looking, relooking, innovating on all things related to thermal insulation. So
yeah, it's pretty amazing over the years, all the things that you guys have come out with and developed. So you've been there a long time. What were you doing before you joined Thermore?
I had a background in textiles before joining Thermore, and already had a good awareness of some of the brands who are out there. I worked for a company in Rochester, New York, that did domestic wovens at that time. So there were all kinds of different products that were going to backpacks and luggage or rainwear, performance coatings. So I had a good background in fabric and textiling. And then that was kind of helped me jump over to Thermore and pretty seamlessly, and continue doing what I had already started doing.
Yeah, hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So Thermore's been driving sustainability since day one. Where does that ethos come from? So that must be from the family, right?
It is. It's sometimes the challenge of jumping into something is simply that you see that the technology might be there, and you just want to do it. And I think that happens a lot of times with Thermore, is that they take on certain projects and developments because they're simply there, and they see that there may be a way to do this. Or maybe a customer challenges us and says, we want to co-develop something with you, and let's do this, and we'll assess whether we can do that. So I think we challenge ourselves, and we get challenged by our customers from time to time. And recycled technology has really evolved a lot since we started doing that in the 1980s.
Yeah, continues to evolve, right? You got to stay up on it.
You do, and maybe back then you would have been able to clearly say that this is the recycled product and this is the non-recycled product. Things were not as refined back then,
right?
But now it's very, very different. And the story has become, for us at least, that we're a performance-driven company that happens to be recycled instead of a recycled company that also may perform from time to time. So I think that that's an important part of who we are as far as the Thermore's current take on where we are in the marketplace. It's good to have a sustainable story, and most of our products now are, but it's also important to really perform.
Right.
And those two things need to coexist in our minds.
Yeah, these days there's no differentiation between sustainability and performance. It's all got to be together and top of the line. Well, whatever position you're in the marketplace. How often do brands and customers bring ideas to you? I bet that happens a lot.
Everyone, you always think that maybe you had a vision of what a product might be, and then you show it to a customer and they have a completely different vision of what the end use might be. Or maybe they look at something and they say, well, what about if you tweak this and did a little bit something unique to it? How would that, what would that do for it? Mm-hmm. So, we're challenged. We challenge ourselves and we're challenged by our customers. It doesn't happen as often with customers, but it does happen. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, everybody's exposed to so much information in the world these days. You never know where an idea is going to come from, right?
Exactly.
Totally out of left field. It's like, whoa, hey, I never thought of that. So how has that process of developing sustainable materials evolved over the years?
I think that little by little, the recycled components have been creeping into our line, at first slowly, and then it's a sort of an evolution, 25% recycled content, then 50% recycled content. And then eventually we're able to manufacture goods that are 100% recycled. And instead of being a niche product for us, we've tried to make it part of the main line of what we do. And that has sort of normalized the pricing as well.
Oh, right.
So there isn't an upcharge to be recycled anymore for us. The product is part of what we do throughout the core part of the Thermore line. And that has helped to keep the prices where they should be as well, so that anyone can afford it.
So that's probably helped you on the sales side, selling into the dealers, and then also the dealers selling to consumers. There's no more, that's all the barriers are removed.
Yeah, and I think in order to be effective and appeal to the widest audience where it could do the most good, you have to have that equation in place.
Yeah, you got to be able to appeal to everybody. So I don't know much about ocean-bound plastic. What can you share with us about that? It makes total sense when I read about it, but and it sounds horrible, but I'm sure the ocean's full of it.
Yeah, it's the key is actually to try to capture the plastic before it ever makes it to the water.
Right.
There are a lot of areas, especially in Southeast Asia, that don't have, specific recycling programs that they adhere to. And it's about collecting that plastic before it can get into the water, and then having an incentive of some type so that the collection takes place and that it's certified and can also be traced back to where it came from. Because once plastic gets into salt water, it's not really capable of being recycled anymore.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, which is something that was new to us when we started to explore this.
I didn't know
your
that.
First image is, probably of, grabbing floating plastic bottles, off the surface of the ocean and recycling them. But by the time that happens, it's actually too late. So you want to capture them, as they would say, ocean-bound plastic within a 30-mile radius of the shoreline.
Oh, wow.
That will eventually get into the ocean, and you're trying to stop it.
So what kind of things are you doing to help make sure it doesn't reach the ocean? That's got to be a huge problem that you, as a manufacturer, kind of have to come at from a kind of a side angle, right?
We are. I mean, it's difficult to, we're trying to do our part I guess. And
yeah, because you can't spend
working,
resources doing all that stuff. You've got to spend resources on the manufacturing and selling and all that.
We're purchasing Ocean Cycle certified plastics. They're a company that basically polices and monitors the plastic that we actually get our hands on and are able to process back into fibers.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to work in cooperation with them to get the best possible, where we could do the most possible help
right.
For the situation. It's impossible to stop all of it. If you start watching some of the documentaries on TV or YouTube videos, I mean, it's really a big, big problem.
Huge, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, single-use plastic is right now is probably right there with climate change, or the two big factors, and the two of them are somewhat related as well.
Mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm.
it's an issue. It's an issue for sure.
So any advice or some things that we can do before we can help do our part and make sure that we're not contributing to the problem? Obviously, recycle all your plastic, however you do that.
Recycling helps. I think that whether it's ocean-bound plastic or whether it's landfill-bound plastic, I think it's about assessing how you do things and what kind of decisions you make day to day to potentially lessen. It's not just plastic bottles. It could be something like a plastic bag from the shopping, from the grocery store, or Ziploc bags.
Your tires,
store your
buy new
food
tires, yeah.
Yeah, tires. I mean, it's everything, and including your apparel and the choices you make for your day-to-day clothing, and where does it come from? Are they utilizing recycled fibers, or there are choices that we all can make on a day-to-day basis, and I think you have to sort of start there, and then go from there.
Pick your spots, yeah. How has the process of developing sustainable materials evolved over the years? I imagine when you first were doing this, it wasn't as widely accepted or as widely practiced as it is today, so that's better. What were some of the things you had to do to get the factories on board and that kind of stuff?
I think it goes back to that evolution part, sort of that, the raw materials that we have access to now are much better quality than they were. The processing that we've learned at Thermore and how to process those fibers to higher performing product is better now. It's more durable, but it's still soft. It has good warmth values. It washes well, which is really key. So it's difficult now to tell the difference between recycled items versus non-recycled items. And you see that in other things too, outside of insulation too, solutions to animal-based products. Does it have to be a down-filled jacket, or can it be a synthetic down-filled jacket? I think we're trying to give consumers a choice. You can see that in the automotive industry with, synthetic leather versus real leather for seating and things like that. So you're starting to, as a consumer, maybe for the first time, have choices with certain aspects of your life.
Yeah.
And you have to weigh what's important to you and how that will impact not only your life, but also your kids and their kids. So,
yeah, and I think a lot of those choices, as they get more widely used, it makes it easier for those of us that want to, do our part and recycle as much as we can, because there are more of those choices. So it's no longer, I got to go do some research to figure out, is that good? Is that not good?
It feels good to do the right thing.
Right.
Right. It really does.
Yeah.
And when you're doing it. So it's something that you can feel it. Like I'm changing how I think and look at a certain problem or issue in my life. And I'm going to try doing this and see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a lot of those issues that we're changing. Hey, are you a t-shirt fanatic like me? I'm always on the lookout for new t-shirts. I have a collection of tees with funny sayings, inspiring graphics, or just something with a simple message. And I often find them at TeePublic. TeePublic has all kinds of apparel, including outdoor biz tees, hats, and more. Visit ricksays.com/teepublic and find something to add to your tee collection today. I know you have one. That's ricksays.com/teepublic. Now, back to the show. How do you guys tweak the manufacturing process to produce different insulation? For example, blown versus rolled. Is that...
They're very, very different products.
Yeah.
So rolled products are super technical. It's a very, very long assembly line with multiple steps. It's quite complex. So we have factories that are very specialized in handling rolled goods. And then free fibers or blown fibers, the factory is not as intricate, and it's a smaller footprint, so we can place factories in different spots. And it's both basically are very, very specialized in doing what they do. And we feel fortunate that we have two product platforms that we can work off of now.
Right.
And both of them are very, very efficient and performance-based.
And help our listeners understand the end use cases for those. Like for blown product is used in what kind of, equipment?
Blown products are what you would typically see in, say, a puffer style jacket, which is normally quilted, soft, lofty looking.
Sleeping bags.
Yeah, sleeping bags. What you would typically think of as a down jacket and what that looks like with quilted baffles, whereas rolled goods tend to be a little bit lower profile. It's a sheeting that gives complete thermal coverage, so it tends to go into a more technical type of garment. Usually don't see it quilted as much. So there's more flexibility in the design of rolled goods that could be placed in almost any type of jacket.
It's like another layer of material.
Yeah, and it tends to be a little bit lower bulk compared to a puffer style jacket that's utilizing free fibers.
Interesting. And tell us about Thermore's Ocean Down. Has it been widely embraced? Great idea. Great concept.
It's gaining traction and momentum now. Part of it when we launched the product, it was also us kind of educating our customers about what the product was and where it came from, because you always, we're in the industry and we deal with this day to day. So maybe we have a step forward compared to our customers and especially the consumer. So I think was a little bit of education that's been taking place and just raising awareness about it. And then from there, I think our customers do their own research and then come back to us and then decide that they may want to try to sample the product and see if it might work for them. So right now, you won't see any ocean products probably on the shelf for fall of 24. Most of our customers are developing product now for fall of 25 because it's a very long development timeline.
Right.
So it's 12 to 18 months out.
That is a long timeline. And there's a lot of layers of education and awareness that has to happen, right? I mean, not only, to tell the factory workers and start there, but then your whole sales team, the whole, dealer base. I mean, that's a huge effort.
It is, but
that's why we have great reps and great fabric reps, sales reps. All those guys do a great job at that. Yeah,
there's I realized earlier in my career that there's a sales person for everything. But it's just about education and awareness. And I think we're taking the right steps with the product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it seems like that's the good way, the proper way to go. Any other initiatives you can talk about to drive sustainability, both in manufacturing or even day-to-day operations around the plant?
I think from our point of view for Thermore and manufacturing, we're really kind of been leading the charge towards a very high recycled percentage per product, and of all our products that have post-consumer recycled content. So that's the most that we can do right now, in our Thermore world, as far as the manufacturing and product side. And then from the consumer side, I think it's really about challenging those paradigms that you may have had before, and taking a very close look at what you're purchasing and where does it come from. And, as simple as just reevaluating single-use plastic bottles, especially for water.
Yeah.
It's...
or your grocery bags.
Yeah, your grocery bags. I mean, those are just simple examples, but your utensils that you might eat lunch with, plastic utensils. I saw a movie a few weeks ago that, they were dredging off the coast, in Southeast Asia, and they found hundreds of thousands of plastic straws in the water, and utensils, forks.
Wow.
So those things don't degrade. They're around forever.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think like something like a small item like that would be a problem, but when you start adding it up over the years, and the fact that it's a daily use item, then it becomes a problem. I've pretty much stopped. Like, if we're going to have a office day and eat lunch in, maybe I'll bring lunch in like a glass container. Something that can be reused and washed, instead of something plastic or a disposable plastic bag.
Yep. And those of us that have been to Southeast Asia, or even in the U.S. places, that stuff, the currents of the water around the world move in interesting ways, and they all seem to gather, things like that are put in the water gather in these holding spots. And you just go Southeast Asia or somewhere here in Bishop, and you see this big collection of stuff that's in the water. It's like, oh my God, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's, if you've never seen it, whether live or on, TV, on a, quality documentary, it's shocking.
Yeah.
Really. It's shocking, and it makes you question, like, what are we doing? What are we
and all
doing?
The stuff. It's not just forks and, food throwaway things. It's just amazing to see all the stuff that's just in that pile of mess. It's wild.
Yeah. Plastic containers of any type for, laundry detergent, food articles, whatever it is.
Pretty well.
So it's really eye-opening.
Well, good on you guys for doing the work and helping us make it better. We all appreciate that, I know. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some fun stuff. How about that? Not that that's not fun, but what's your favorite activity to get outside? Is it golf?
I'd probably say that now it is, because it's something that I can do, maybe after dinner, and just walk 9 holes.
Right.
It's probably one of my favorite things to do right now personally, is just walk 9 holes after dinner in the spring and summer, and just get out for that hour and a half or 2 hours where it's not interfering with any other part of the day. And the golf course is more or less cleared out, and kind of clear your mind, like you said earlier. And, I've been a dog owner most of my life, where we don't have a dog in the house right now. We're in between puppies, but, getting out there and just walking the trails with my wife and the dog was always a big part of what we did for, day to day.
Those are great. Golf is one of those things too, where when you get out there, it completely shifts your mental focus, right? Whatever was driving you nuts 2 minutes ago is completely gone, and now that little white ball is driving you nuts.
It's funny. obviously you understand it. So it's right.
Yeah.
You can't when you're golfing, you can't do anything else but golf.
That's right. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not golfing. Then you're just out there swinging the stick and out for a walk, which is
the
fine.
Beauty of it.
Yeah, which is fine.
That's fine too. But when you're in the golf zone and you're just focused on something like that, it's very, very peaceful and a nice thing. So
I'm sure there are a lot of other activities like that. I haven't done pickleball yet, but I think tennis is kind of the same way. Yeah. Did you ever play tennis also?
I did. Yeah, and I still do.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I'll be playing tennis tonight.
Oh, nice.
Indoor, obviously, but at least I'm still out there doing it, and
good on you.
I think your body is designed to stay in motion, and the longer that you could keep it going, the healthier you're going to be, and the more pain-free that you'll be. Bodies don't like to sit idle, so as long as I can stay moving and in motion, I think that's a good thing.
That's true of any injured bodies too. I played football in high school, and my knees are pretty banged up. But if I'm out there hiking, walking, doing my regular exercises, the pain is significantly reduced. But when I'm, say I'm traveling for a couple weeks and they just start to creak and ache again. So yeah, staying active is a huge part of it. We're meant to keep moving. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Firmly believe that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I think maybe it's the older we get, the experience that drives that belief. Yeah. What's your favorite outdoor gear purchase under $100?
That's a great question. I think it's probably in the last year I purchased my first Tilly.
Oh.
Yeah. So wide brimmed sun hat, lightweight, but offers a lot of UV protection.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be outside and do those things, and I do love the sun and I do want to be outside, but I'm not 18 anymore. Your skin changes. It needs to be better protected.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that it protects my head, the back of my neck, my ears, face, and gives you full sun coverage. I've gotten used to wearing it now for a lot of different activities. I don't even notice that it's there. And I think that's a great investment that people can make is to have some sun awareness and have some UV protection because the sun is much stronger now than it used to be.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. I don't think Tilly's ever been mentioned. That's a first for that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys at Tilly. Do you read a lot? What are a couple of your favorite books?
I'm not a big reader. I'm really not. I'd say that most of my interest lies in like wildlife and birding. So I love learning about animals, and I may read like identification books on certain birds and other animals. I like watching wildlife specials on TV. That's where I really get most of my entertainment from, I think. So
anything on TV that stands out that we might all take advantage of that for birding or wildlife or?
It's
anything by Nat Geo is great, obviously.
Yeah, Nat Geo is great. But any of the Earth type documentaries that are on Netflix right now, Our Planet, things like that, which I believe is John Attenborough is doing the narrating. It's fascinating, and a lot of it deals with climate change as well and how it affects animals, which is also interesting to me. So you learn about the animals themselves, but you also learn about how what we're doing is impacting them. And I think that is something that is very telling about where we're heading right now and how we need to change our course pretty soon before it becomes too difficult to make the change.
Yeah, we're going through the wildlife crossing over some of the highways out here in the West now. There's a couple being built in Yellowstone. I was watching I think it might have been talking to Doug Peacock, and he was telling me a story about this grizzly up there in Yellowstone that from the day it was born, traveling with the mother and the other grizzly cubs, they would always go up to this one road and never cross it for whatever reason. They would never step foot on that road. And as this grizzly got older, they keep tracking him, and he has never stepped foot over that road. So he can't get to whatever it is he wants to get to on that other side. And now that they built a wildlife crossing, I think he started to use that. And it's interesting. We're looking at building some of those down here at Bishop, but the process, funding and building, it just takes.
Yeah, I know.
It'll be 20 years before the thing is built, so I'm not sure we have 20 years.
I'm not sure we do either, and it's unfortunate that things have to take so long.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But small victories, I guess.
Yeah, and we're finding solutions, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to try to stay positive about it, and it's. In our house, we always say better, not perfect, is the way to go. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's a good way to look at everything that you do. It's at least you're making some kind of contribution. It's better than doing nothing at all.
Exactly.
And even if the process is slower than you want it to be, at least the wheel is turning.
Yeah. And even if you're building something and it's not, not quite done, it's not perfect, just get it out there. Just launch it, publish it, put it out. You can tweak it, you can edit it and adjust it and make it better as you go. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything else you'd like to say to or ask of our listeners?
I appreciate you having me on your podcast. This has been great, but I guess just, make wise choices, look inward to the decisions you make in terms of what you do, what you buy, challenge the paradigms that have existed in your life. And recognize that, single-use plastic is a big, big problem for the world. And these choices that we make, we feel like maybe we're isolated or immune from the repercussions of them. But then we realize a little while later that it's all come full circle.
Right.
And, we're the ones who are ingesting the microplastic in our bodies, and we're the ones who are getting, sick because of it.
Right.
So, and I guess, again, you're on the front line of it. I'm on the front line of it. So maybe we have more awareness than friends and family, but let them know about what you know, because it starts there. And I think if people just knew what the situation was, sometimes they might make a different choice.
Yep. And
I think it's our responsibility to let friends and family also know this is what we know. And this is something that can impact your day-to-day decision making.
Agree 100%. 100%. And where can people find you and follow up if they'd like to reach out?
We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook.
Okay.
And of course you can visit the Thermore website as well.
Cool.
And learn more about the product line and some of our affiliations.
Cool. So, we'll link to all that stuff in the show notes. That'll be great. Well, It's been great talking to you. I look forward to meeting you at one of these trade shows one of these days. I'm sure our paths have crossed. We just don't realize it.
Likewise. I appreciate your time, Rick. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find show notes with links to everything we talked about and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or spread the word and tell a friend. That would really help us out too. Be sure to tune in every week. And thanks again for listening to the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Rick Sayes.